Hey everyone, hope you're having a good weekend. In today's video, we'll discover the top 21 texture packs that works and supports the Minecraft Trails and Tales update. Let's begin with the most realistic pack of all time, Stratum. At first, I could not believe this pack was updated to the latest releases. I mean, look at those details. The cherry growth never looked this realistic, and I also love the small cherry flowers on the floor. As you may notice, I'm not having the best performance, and the reason is here in front of you. The blocks have a magnificent depth on them, mixed with precise reflections. Also, a small tip for you guys: when installing this pack, just go and observe a mossy cobblestone. You will be crazed by the amount of small elements on the blocks. It honestly feels like a real life scene, and this what makes Stratum the best of its category. Next, we got Archaic, a newly released texture pack that quickly reached the top. The Archaic texture pack contains some insane details. My favorite part here is the golden armor. I like how the author was creative by making it look like a medieval armor and not just a full-on yellow entity. As you can see, the Archaic texture pack also nailed the 1.20 update with some great textures. I like the bamboos and how they've got a very deep surface. But when installing Archaic, what you really should be trying is building a cobblestone house. And behold the striking visuals of this pack. There are also many other blocks that yield even greater details and beauty, all for a mere $2 Patreon pledge, or even for free if you decided to go with the low resolutions. After that, we got Brixel. This is a pack that aimed to produce realistic visuals with a Lego style. A genius idea and quite creative as well. The artists of this pack are hard-working people. The biggest proof of this is the new sniffers. I never thought I would see a reflective Lego sniffer, but here we are. They have pretty much the same animations as Vanilla, and I just prefer this version of the sniffer. It's quite beautiful and pleasing to the eye. The authors also covered the cherry grove forests, and I like how they took the time to make it look best and didn't just go with the bump and dump approach. If that wasn't enough for you to install this pack, then you may wanna check those camels. Look at those textures and reflections. It looks exactly as it should and not out of place. This is, as of now, the best Lego texture pack you can put your hands on, but you should expect performance to suffer if you decided to go with the higher resolutions. Another innovative pack would be Napp. This one instead went with the cartoony style. I know I've said this many times, but the amount of details here is unfathomable. And I'm sure the author puts every single bit of attention and deep work towards designing these blocks. Especially since the pack hasn't updated to 1.20 yet, but looking at those textures, we can only expect an outstanding update coming up. Something I very much appreciate about Napp is the connectivity between the blocks, as well as the great chemistry between the depth and the PBR reflections. All of these features were seasoned with the author's vast creativity and gifted mind. Next up, we got the Realism Mats. This is one of the most ambitious texture packs out there. As I zoom in the blocks, you can understand what I'm talking about. Realism Mats offers seamlessly connected blocks and one of the best 3D models there is. Just try and get closer to a furnace and you'll notice some crazy details inspired by real-life objects. Realism Mats isn't a cheap photorealism pack since it included some beautiful reflections when lighting up a compacted room, as well as real-time ray tracing for items such as the swords and the armors. And in spite of the tremendous amount of details each block contains, Realism Mats still managed to cover the 1.20 update as well. Not all of the blocks, mostly the cherry grove wood variants and foliage, but the author did a great job at it nonetheless. Next up, we got Pixlli, one of the most excellent packs of 2023. The Pixlli texture pack focused on enlarging the resolution of the vanilla blocks. This style was initially carried out by the Realistico texture pack, but I included Pixlli instead since it was updated to the latest releases. Every part about this pack is fascinating, and it seems that it's 100% completed, so you won't be spooked by any untextured blocks. Another pack from the same category is VanillAccurate. Both are similar to each other, only the VanillAccurate is still outdated, but I personally prefer it over any pack of this category, simply because of this POM and PBR quality. Believe me, you won't find the same graphics anywhere else. Okay guys, let's uncover a new style with the Optimum Realism pack. As you can see, this texture pack doesn't just enlarge the resolution of the textures, it completely replaces it with new artistic models and visuals. Of course, connectivity was not neglected. The grass and cobblestone are the best example of that. And just like the majority of the packs on this list, Optimum Realism managed to cover the trades and tiers update as well. But as you can see, my performance is suffering. Reason being the incredible amount of details each block carries, especially on the metallic blocks. Also, the foliage here is something else. Although it won't look like that without the grassy add-on, so make sure you install that as well. Next up we got Patrix, a pack that most of you are familiar with. But as of late, Patrix officially updated every single block on the 1.20 update. The thing that made this pack very successful is how every texture here follows one art style. And you just feel that Patrix never rushes any blocks. He takes his time and produces the best patches possible. He even went as far as making realistic mobs with unique animations. This pack, despite having lower resolutions than other packs, it managed to compensate for that very well with smart texturing and a massive focus on the aesthetic aspect rather than the realism aspect. Let's take a look at a very intriguing texture pack, which is the Roundista pack. This project has created a new genre, which is the round realism. Upon installing Roundista textures, you will notice that the blocks are shiny and beautiful. But when you get closer, you realize that the blocks are made out of rounds. This pack reminds me of the mixed media art, where artists tend to not use a brush for their paintings. Instead, they would go with different materials like clay and charcoal, etc. Our next pack, however, is quite the opposite. rotrBLOCKS will instead offer textures that are detailed to the brim. Still, these blocks were not inspired by real-life objects, which distinct this texture pack from others. Much like VanillAccurate, this pack will overwhelm you with the most detailed blocks possible. Take these bamboos for example. Anyone who never played this game would probably refuse to believe it's Minecraft and not some AAA game. AVPBR is not another VanillAPBR texture pack. I mean, that's literally what the name stands for. The depth of the blocks and the PBR here is incredible, especially when mixed with the Kappa shaders. I also love the bamboo blocks. They are not very deep but also not flat. And my favorite part about AVPBR is the rails. The reflections are top notch, but when it's nighttime, oh boy, turns into something new and completely different. Not just the rails but also other light sources that get remarkably better with this pack. Another simple low resolution pack is the SubtlePBR. This pack, however, decided to go with a completely different style. Not very simple, but also not over the top. Just aesthetic and glossy. I personally prefer it over the AVPBR, but it's a matter of choice. Both packs have free versions and are working just fine on the 1.20 update. Just note that the SubtlePBR requires a Patreon pledge to access the higher resolutions, and so is AVPBR, so you may want to wait a little. Next up, we got aBTV, another cartoonish pack but this time around with a higher coverage. aBTV will decorate your world with astonishing blocks and an extensive atmosphere and foliage. This is a very active project with a hard-working author and honestly quite underrated, so if you found yourself interested in it, support the author with a download and even follow his Patreon page if you want to get the highest resolutions that I'm showcasing right now. RealSource was originally made for Bedrock players, but as of late it got converted to the Java version of the game. This is also a very enterprising texture pack. Every single part of the game is textured, and of course this includes the sniffer and the camels as well. And it's one of the very few packs that I pretty much enjoy playing even on survival mode. Westera is a medieval texture pack. It goes very well with the Kappa PT shader since you will be able to extract the full potential of the Westera pack with the Patrix procured by the Kappa PT Shaders. Of course, not to mention the fantastic block textures, especially the benches. Every pixel of the blocks were chiseled with care and extreme creativity. Although this pack was left outdated for around a year now, it's still worth your time. BrickCraft is another LEGO texture pack. This is more of a subtle version of the Brixel texture pack. It's not quite as detailed and reflective, but it does the job of carrying out the LEGO style perfectly. I love how even the mobs are textured. My favorites are those foxies. Although I have to warn you, this pack can be very laggy when going to a bushy area like the jungle, so be aware. Also, the otter is unfortunately fighting cancer right now, so let's pray for his speedy recovery. Urban is one of the very few photorealistic texture packs that I very much enjoyed. This amazing pack offered smooth connected blocks as well as some shiny blocks, and of course, it also supported the 1.20 update. Well, not entirely, but the cherry groves are there for you to discover. I always adored this pack's foliage, and I still do to this day. Next up, we got the Fateful PBR. As the name implies, this fantastic texture pack was aiming to make the good old Fateful pack look unbelievable. And since Fateful is the most downloaded pack of all time, it didn't take long for this pack to actually get popular. I highly appreciate the author's hard work and how they quickly managed to embellish the Trails and Tales update with these outlandish textures. Moving forward, we got Hodilton. This texture pack featured perhaps the best connected textures ever. They are quite seamless and you wouldn't even notice they are separate blocks. Hodilton was recently updated and the outcome was crazy. You can just imagine how much effort was put into it. Again, the bamboos were wonderful, and what really stood out to me was the cherry grove logs. The details here are insane and quite accurate to the original cherry trees. Finally, we got the ModernArch, another famous pack, but for a good reason. Just check those blocks and models. Everything about it is unique. I mean, look at this. This is just a soul sand block. The creativity here is off the chart. I only got one complaint however, which is the 1.20 update. While the wood variants were good, I feel like the author dropped the ball when it came to the bamboos. It would have been better if the author went with a more of a deep bomb style rather than these flat textures. But this is just a constructive opinion. If your PC is just ain't capable of handling these texture packs, no problem, check out those Vanilla Plus packs. They are free and playable on almost all devices. See ya in the next one.